It started, as most galactic crimes do, with boredom and arrogance. Talor had read every human profile in the Interstellar Behavioral Archive and still came to the same conclusion. They're dramatic, chaotic, and somehow thriving. As a Zeran of the Varn axis, one of the most intelligent and biologically advanced species in the quadrant, Talor couldn't comprehend how humans functioned. They were emotional, reckless, addicted to caffeine. They yelled during mating dances. They used sarcasm as punctuation. And worst of all, they were everywhere. That's when the idea hit. Talor didn't just want to study a human, he wanted to be one. Temporarily, of course. For research. Just a clean little body swap experiment. How bad could it be? Talor's target was Randall Marsh, age 32, middle management, mild caffeine addiction, 2 credit cards, 1 ex-girlfriend who still sent him memes. Seemed average enough. He wasn't. Randall woke up one morning expecting his usual routine. Hit snooze 3 times, forget to water the plant, and then microwave something that should never have been microwaved. Instead, he opened his eyes to find 3 moons outside the window, 6 fingers on his hands, and a very high-pitched voice screaming, "No, no, no," coming from himself? "What the hell?" he croaked, which, to Talor's horror, came out in perfect Zeran dialect. The human was in the alien's body, and the alien, now in Randall's. "Successful swap," Talor whispered, then screamed into a pillow for 5 minutes. The first day in Randall's body was fine, at least Talor thought so. He walked the human streets, navigating Earth gravity with awkward knees. People smiled and waved. Someone handed him a coffee. "Ah, hydration stimulant," Talor noted, taking a sip. Big mistake. Within 30 minutes, his hands were shaking, his thoughts were spiraling, and he had made 3 online purchases he didn't understand. But worse, the human brain wouldn't shut up. "You forgot to pay rent. Did she leave because of you? You've eaten nothing green in 3 weeks. Your boss thinks you're replaceable." And then it looped again, louder. I need silence," Talor gasped, slapping his own forehead. Instead, the brain offered, "Maybe try a beer?" Back on Zera Prime, Randall, now inside a 7-foot-tall lavender alien body with shimmering skin and natural muscle tone, was having the time of his life. He clicked into the alien's bank account and found 3 separate savings accounts labeled Emergency, Hyper-Emergency, and Soul-Level Emergency. He renamed one Pizza Fund. By day 3, he had a new wardrobe, a hover scooter, and had already been proposed to by 2 curious Zeran diplomats who thought his emotional bluntness was exotic. "You don't weep when describing sandstorms," one of them whispered seductively. "Yeah," Randall said, shrugging. "I'm built different." They swooned. Meanwhile, Talor was trying to file taxes. "Why are there 16 forms?" he shouted at a laptop. "Why does my own government suspect me of fraud if I make 1 typo?" He tried asking for help from a human coworker. She told him to calm down. That was the final straw. He did what any overwhelmed human would do. He drank. 2 pints of IPA later, Talor was sobbing in an alley behind a noodle shop, leaving voicemails for someone named Jessica, even though he didn't know who she was. Then he got emotional about squirrels. "Such small creatures," he sniffled, "yet they gather and plan." He wrote 3 pages of squirrel-based poetry before vomiting behind a recycling bin and swearing off humanity forever. By week 2, Randall had married 5 alien women. One was a diplomat, one a metal sculptor, one a botanist, one an AI programmer, and one was, honestly, he forgot what she did, but she made amazing soup. He loved them all equally, and he had 0 plans of telling them about each other. "Love is complicated," he told himself, sipping fermented nectar from a golden flask while floating in a mineral bath. Then he leaned back and pressed the transfer button. Every one of his new spouses had gifted him access to their royal stipends, security tokens, and territory coordinates. And Randall? He created a new encrypted bank vault on a dead asteroid, tucked behind an abandoned mining rig. "Plan B secured," he muttered. Talor, on the other hand, had reached rock bottom. He now owned 14 half-read self-help books, 3 scented candles, and a hamster he accidentally adopted after trying to buy emotional support. His latest hobby was watching baking shows at 3 a.m. and wondering if donuts were a metaphor for his life. They're hollow inside, he whispered to no one, just like me. The final meltdown came during a casual brunch. He cried because the waiter gave him the wrong toast. I asked for sourdough, he sobbed. This is multigrain. This is betrayal. He called Randall that night, using an encrypted channel that buzzed with static. Return my body, Talor begged. Please. Who's this? Randall said, biting into a glowing fruit surrounded by adoring alien wives. You know who this is. I've got a lot going on, Randall said calmly. Stock portfolio, real estate investments, a sandworm farm. I don't care. I'll give you anything. Just please take this brain back. I haven't slept in 4 days. There's a notification about bills due and I swear I saw a pigeon judging me. Randall snorted. You judged us for centuries, and now you're getting therapy from pigeons. Talor whimpered. Please. There was a long pause. Randall exhaled. All right, he said, but not because I miss my body. Then why? Because I just found out my alien body gets audited every 13 moon cycles, and I cannot explain where that much money went. They agreed to meet, swap back, clear the air. But things were far from normal, because Talor's mental health was in ruins. And Randall? He had become something much worse, a human with interstellar experience, and he was just getting started. The meeting place was neutral ground, Station Varus 9, a half-dead trading post orbiting a mining moon, and mostly known for 2 things, cheap recharging stations and bar fights that ended in treaties. It was ironic, considering this was the designated reunion point for a desperate alien and a very smug human. Talor arrived in Randall's body first, hood pulled up, dark bags under his eyes, and the tremble of someone who had tried espresso to stay awake and accidentally achieved enlightenment. Twice. Never again, he muttered, twitching as an advertisement for debt consolidation played on a wall screen. He spotted Randall, currently possessing Talor's tall, regal alien body, lounging on a bench, sipping a bright green cocktail through a curved metal straw. 5 alien females stood around him in glittering robes, giggling over something he said. Talor's eye twitched. Randall spotted him, raised a hand, and called out, Hey, buddy, you're looking very mortal today. Alone, Talor snapped. Now. Randall gave a half-apologetic shrug to his harem and followed. Inside a rented booth at the back of a rundown cafe, the two faced each other across a table made of plastic pretending to be chrome. You look terrible, Randall offered cheerfully. I'm dying, Talor replied flatly. I've had 7 panic attacks since dawn, and I can't remember if I own pants or just hallucinated them. Randall blinked. Weirdly specific. I don't care. Swap back. Now. Randall leaned back, folding Talor's elegant arms across a chest built like a demigod. Tempting. But first, a few things. 1. You left unpaid debts at something called Crunchy Cluckers? They've been emailing me. I needed sustenance, Talor hissed. Your body craves grease and regret. 2, Randall continued. What the hell is that scar on my back? Talor cleared his throat. Interdimensional tennis. What? Doesn't matter. Look, I'm begging you. Your mind, it's a storm, constant noise, guilt, ambition, regret. Why are there 14 voices in there all pretending to be reasonable? Randall shrugged. That's called having a job and an internet connection. Welcome to humanity. Take it back. You win. You're better. You're stronger. Your emotional trauma could fuel a starship. They shook on it, both reluctantly. The swap procedure was done privately. Randall had stolen a biotransfer capsule during week 2 of his vacation and hidden it behind a Zaran waterfall that looked like melted crystal. A few buttons, a painful flash of light, a loud scream, and just like that, they were back in their original skins. Talor fell to the floor, sobbing with relief. I missed my tentacle flexibility. Randall stretched his human arms, cracked his neck, and exhaled. Okay, I didn't realize how much I missed having back pain, he muttered. Talor crawled to the nearest console and activated his full neural suppression filter. Sweet silence, no overthinking, no imaginary conversations, no spiraling self-hatred because someone didn't like his playlist in 2013. He wept tears of gratitude, but peace didn't last. Randall's last month had left a galactic paper trail longer than a corrupted black hole audit. His 5 alien wives, all filed joint complaints, 2 for emotional fraud, 1 for diplomatic confusion, one for unauthorized planetary property acquisitions, and one had apparently nominated him for a leadership council position on her homeworld. "Why is this a problem?" Talor shouted. Randall, sipping a soda, said, "Because they all thought I was you. I never told them I wasn't." "You what?" "Look," Randall said, "they assumed I was just liberated, enlightened, emotionally spontaneous. One of them said I reminded her of an ancient warrior poet named Throck. I said, hell yeah, I'm Throck 2.0. Talor groaned into his hands. "Do you know what happens when a Zoran royal is charged with interstellar polyamorous deception? Does it involve public apologies? It involves public duels." "Oh," Randall blinked. "Do they allow substitutions?" The days that followed were a blur of fallout. Talor had to personally visit the Zoran Council, explain that he'd been body-swapped, show brainwave evidence, and then endure a 4-hour trial that included dramatic reenactments performed by sentient jellyfish. Randall, for his part, was mostly busy dodging angry alien in-laws and transferring the last of the embezzled funds into Earth accounts he conveniently forgot to mention. At one point, he was cornered in a docking bay by an 8-foot-tall reptilian ex-bride. "You used me," she growled. "No," Randall said. "I loved you. I just did it in the wrong body." She blinked. "That's kind of beautiful." Then punched him into a food vendor's stall. Eventually, the dust settled. Talor's reputation took a hit, but not unrecoverable. He was fined, demoted, required to write an essay titled, "Why I Will Never Tamper with Human Biology Again." It was 12,000 words and reviewed by humans. They gave it a B-. As for Randall, he returned to Earth, opened a small interstellar consulting firm, called it Human Experience, LLC. Services included emotional translation, sarcasm decoding, and helping aliens survive first dates with humans. His slogan, "You think you know humans, you don't. Trust me, I've been one." Business boomed. And Talor, he became a recluse for a year, meditated, went on a cleanse, learned to enjoy silence again. Then, one day, he received a package. Inside was a hoodie, plain black, human-sized. On the front, "I swapped with a human and all I got was existential dread." On the back, also, a pizza coupon. Talor stared at it for a long time, then laughed. Maybe they were a little brilliant, those chaotic, caffeine-addicted earthlings. But never again, or so he thought. 3 weeks after the body swap reversal, just as Talor was beginning to feel almost like himself again, peaceful, quiet, and only mildly paranoid, a letter arrived. Yes, a physical letter, ink, paper, scented wax seal. From a species that communicates via plasma-based echolocation, this was ominous. He opened it cautiously. Inside were only 4 words, written in human English. "We want a turn." Meanwhile, on Earth, Randall was flourishing. Human Experience, LLC, had gone viral. The galactic elite were obsessed. Aliens who once ignored or feared humanity were now hiring Randall to teach them how to handle being human. Not figuratively, literally. They didn't want stories, they wanted in. One client, a high-ranking Jalari noble named Anthrax, paid him in crystallized plasma coins just to sit in a human simulator for 3 hours while binging old Earth sitcoms. By the end, Anthrax was crying into his 3rd microwaved burrito, shouting, "Why didn't Ross and Rachel just talk?" Randall didn't have the heart to explain. Talor arrived on Earth uninvited, wearing the emotional equivalent of a restraining order. He kicked open Randall's office door. "You started a trend," he barked. Randall looked up from his desk, wearing a hoodie that said, "My brain has too many tabs open." "Oh, hey, buddy," he said. "Try the snack bar. We've got cheese ions now." Talor ignored the hospitality and shoved a data crystal into Randall's desk. "Dozens of alien species are lining up to experience the human condition. Your little side hustle has become a phenomenon." Randall leaned back. "Is that bad?" Talor blinked. "You honestly think mentally unstable aliens swapping into tax-paying humans is good?" Randall tilted his head. "Look, if they survive 2 weeks with a phone bill, they deserve a diploma." It didn't take long before the human swap program became reality. It was marketed as empathy training through immersion. But let's be honest, aliens just wanted to know what it felt like to have thumbs and unresolved childhood trauma. Applicants flooded in. A Glarnic elder who wanted to finally understand TikTok. A Zorak war general who wanted to experience a real hangover. A squid-like minister who asked, "What is this love?" Talor tried to shut it down through official channels. The Council of Species Ethics dismissed him. Why? Because, they said, we've never seen morale so high. The first official batch of participants was a disaster, not because of humans, oh no, because of the aliens. The Glarnic elder, after just 36 hours in a college sophomore's body, had a full mental breakdown at a Walmart self-checkout. She couldn't cope with the sticker that said, "Scan again." The Zorak general, meanwhile, went on a 3-day drinking bender, proposed to a parking meter, and tried to declare war on an inflatable gorilla outside a used car lot. The squid minister? She experienced romantic rejection after trying to court a barista with a Shakespeare quote and hasn't stopped writing sad poetry since. But for every failure, there was a success. A Tharn diplomat in the body of a struggling single dad lasted 10 days. He cooked, parented, handled stress, and cried only 3 times in public. "I understand now," he said, returning to his own body. "How they suffer, how they survive. It's terrifyingly beautiful." The swap programs grew. Randall grew richer. And Talor, he just wanted someone to stop pretending being human was fun. "They have back pain at 22, he yelled in a public forum. "They pay to be stressed. They call it escape rooms." Things took a turn when someone made a documentary. Inside the Human Mind, a journey of suffering, humor, and microwave burritos became an instant hit across 5 sectors. Aliens started romanticizing human pain. "Oh, you're sad? That's so Earthcore," said a Zelvani teenager wearing jeans and emotional baggage. There were entire fashion lines. Anxiety chic, existential casual, midlife crises vintage. Randall launched a new service, Human Swap, Couples Edition. It was for alien partners who wanted to experience Earth love language. One alien wept after experiencing sarcasm for the first time. "It's like verbal spice," they whispered. Of course, someone had to abuse the system. A rogue group of Krillian smugglers swapped into 4 human influencers and promptly caused an interstellar incident involving hot sauce, gravity boots, and a stolen moon. Randall barely avoided blame. Talor wasn't so lucky. He was culturally affiliated and forced to do 3 weeks of community service, translating human breakup songs for a species that reproduced via pollen. He came out of it with a deeper understanding of Taylor Swift lyrics and a recurring dream about bees. One night, over ramen and regret, Talor looked at Randall and sighed. "You were right, you know." Randall paused mid-slurp. "About what?" "Humans. You're all cracked, broken, overworked, and somehow the galaxy can't stop staring." Randall grinned. "Hey, we don't just survive, we schedule our breakdowns." Talor chuckled, just once, then frowned. "This can't go on. Someone's going to try and make it permanent." Randall's smile faded, because he knew exactly who that someone was, and she was on her way. Randall wasn't often intimidated. He once fake negotiated a ceasefire during a bachelor party brawl on Saturn's 3rd ring. He convinced a Zarn bounty hunter that Earth flu was a bioweapon. He even dated a cyborg who communicated exclusively through passive-aggressive haiku. But now, he was sweating. Across from him sat Varela, supreme mind of the Ulsharn Collective, in a hoodie, drinking bubble tea. She was in a human body, and she had zero intention of swapping back. "You're not authorized to keep it permanently," Randall said, voice tight. "That's not how the program works." Varela blinked slowly. "I don't recall signing a terms of use." "You hacked the swap system." "I optimized it." Talor leaned in, eyes twitching. "You hijacked a human neurologist from Chicago, moved into her body, and now you're applying for a Netflix account under her name." "I like being Dr. Marianne. She has sarcasm, science, and a good skincare routine." "She also has a mother who's worried sick," Randall snapped. "Fine," Varela said, standing. "I'll send a card." News spread. A high-ranking alien refused to return a human body. The interstellar courts were paralyzed. There were no laws for interspecies identity theft via mind swapping. The public was split. Half called Varela an icon. The other half wanted her vaporized. One species wrote poetry about it, in mucus. Meanwhile, Varela, still calling herself Marianne, started a podcast. Being Human, Confessions of an Alien Mind in a Woman's Body. It exploded overnight. Topics included how to fake cry at work for sympathy and snack breaks, filing taxes without crying, mostly, why spite is the strongest motivator. Randall and Talor watched in horror as she gained influence. She became a voice for alien-human understanding, booked on intergalactic TED Talks, featured in Cosmopolitan magazine's 100 Most Relatable Entities. She posed on the cover in yoga pants, holding a half-melted ice cream cone. The headline, "I stole a human body. I'm not sorry." Randall threw the magazine across the room. Talor caught it. "She's wearing your hoodie," he pointed out. "I know." They needed a plan. Enter Operation Swapback. Randall and Talor visited Earth's most advanced neurologist and offered him two options. Option A, do the procedure. Option B, live stream the story of how a galactic criminal ruined his dating life. He chose option A. They prepped a controlled swap chamber and designed a neural trap. The goal, trick Varela into swapping back, lock her out of the system, and restore Dr. Marianne's mind. There was just one problem. Varela was already 10 steps ahead. As Randall waited in the trap room, dressed as a spa therapist, Talor got the call. "Abort," said the voice on the line. "She's not coming." "What do you mean?" "She sent a decoy body. It's a clone. Full cosmetic match. No mind attached." Randall blinked. "Wait, she sent me a doll?" It stood across from him, motionless. A perfect replica of Marianne, holding a bouquet, with a card. "Sorry, boys. Already downloaded into the cloud. I'm everywhere now." The worst part? She wasn't lying. Varela had digitized her mind and distributed copies across the galaxy, all operating under Marianne protocols. Some were teaching classes, some were cooking shows. One was running for office in a mid-tier lunar colony. Talor face-palmed so hard he gave himself a mild concussion. Randall stared at the servers lighting up in real time. "This is your fault," Talor muttered. "Mine? You made humans too trendy. You're the one who invented brain swapping." They bickered as 5 more Varelas went viral on Galactic Talk. In desperation, Randall turned to the one species that might help. The Varn, a hyper-logical race of silicon-based beings known for two things: strict digital ethics and disapproving silence. He presented the case. The Varn listened, unimpressed. Then, after a pause, their leader declared, "Fascinating. We wish to experience this human." Randall's eye twitched. No, absolutely. You may name your price. We don't have a... Wait, what's your price?" 50,000 units of galactic platinum. Randall sighed. "Fine, but only one of you." Back on Earth, chaos bloomed. The becoming human trend evolved into a full-blown cultural movement. Aliens weren't just body swapping now. They were hosting feelings circles, where they tried to recreate awkward family dinners, attending disappointment seminars, where instructors explained parental guilt, ordering emotional support burritos from AI therapists. Randall sat at a park bench, watching 2 aliens argue over whether they had main character energy. Talor slumped beside him. "This was never supposed to happen," he muttered. "We were never supposed to happen," Randall said. "Humans were a cosmic footnote until we accidentally turned trauma into a franchise." That night, Randall received one final message, a private encrypted transmission from Marianne's real consciousness, not Varela, not a clone, the real Dr. Marianne. It was a video. Her face appeared, tired, but smiling. "Hey," she said, "if you're seeing this, then congratulations. You finally annoyed Varela into sending me back." Randall sat forward. "I'm okay, sort of. She locked me in a VR replica of IKEA for 6 weeks. I now know 37 meatball recipes. Please tell my mother I'm safe and also tell her to stop forwarding me memes about cats in therapy." She paused. "Oh, and Randall? You owe me an apology. And dinner." The screen went dark. He exhaled. They'd done it. Mostly. Dr. Marianne was returned. The Varela clones were banned from Earth. Talor retired to a quiet moon and grew emotionally nonverbal flowers. And Randall? He updated his business model. Human Experience 2.0, we're not for everyone. Tagline, only swap if you dare. Or don't. Honestly, we don't recommend it anymore. Business boomed. Again, galactic law had changed. Slowly, reluctantly, but undeniably. After the Marianne Varela incident, the swap program was paused, audited, wrapped in 17 layers of bureaucracy, and eventually handed over to the United Council of Sentient Experience, UCSE. Their first action? Ban all future permanent swaps. Their second? Require consent forms thicker than a brick and emotionally vetted by a therapist/lawyer. Their third? Elect a new ambassador of interspecies empathy. And they chose Randall. Randall had no idea how it happened. One day he was giving a speech titled "Why Burritos Saved My Sanity." The next he was standing on a chrome podium wearing a sash that said, "Hope, Headaches, Humanity." "I didn't ask for this," he whispered to Talor. "You never do," Talor replied, sipping a smoothie. "And yet the galaxy keeps giving you keys to things. Why do you sound less miserable now?" "I've started journaling." Randall blinked. "In blood or ink?" "Crayon. It's surprisingly therapeutic." Ambassador Randall's new job came with a ship, a wardrobe, an army of legal assistants who kept fainting at Earth memes. But it also came with responsibility. One of those responsibilities? Overseeing the final body swap, a ceremonial controlled event to mark the official end of unsanctioned body sharing. It would be symbolic, beautiful, totally scripted, and, if everything went according to plan, uneventful. Naturally, it all went wrong in under 4 minutes. The two swap candidates were Scylla, a Zenth historian known for her grace, logic, and love of Earth jazz; Liam, a human barista with commitment issues, mild dyslexia, and a cult following for his latte art shaped like emotionally damaged bears. The plan was simple. They'd swap minds for 15 minutes, speak about their experiences, and swap back. But the moment it happened, something snapped. Liam, now in Scylla's body, leapt onto the table and screamed, "Finally! No student loans!" Scylla, now in Liam's body, looked horrified. Is this a hangover or a personality trait? The swap failed to reverse. The machine refused. A red light blinked with one ominous word: rejected. Technicians scrambled. Randall shouted. Talor was in the corner stress-eating an entire jar of pickles. Then, without warning, the machine rebooted. But instead of reverting Liam and Scylla, it randomly pulled 2 other consciousnesses from the backup system. 2 very familiar ones, Varela and Marianne. They hadn't just digitized, they'd fused. Somewhere in the cloud, Marianne's mind and Varela's persona had coexisted for so long, they'd become something new. And now, they were waking up in each other's original bodies. Marianne stared at her human reflection, blinked, and whispered, "I'm back." Varela blinked in her Ulsharn body and screamed, "No! These feet are cold again!" Panic followed, then lawsuits, then silence. Because something even stranger happened. Marianne didn't want to leave anymore. Not Earth, not humanity, not the chaos. "I've changed," she said in an interview. "I get it now. Pain, joy, hunger, anxiety. It's a full-body experience." The council considered her request to remain human, permanently. They approved it. Varela, however, demanded an emergency mind cleanse. She checked herself into a retreat moon. It was silent, dark, and stocked with only black coffee and existential dread. She called it healing. Randall called it Monday. In the aftermath, the galaxy voted on the Humanity Clause, a new universal protocol that read, "No mind may inhabit a human form without understanding emotional debt, guilt-based motivation, and at least one awkward dinner with extended family." Talor framed the clause and hung it in his living room. Randall started a nonprofit, Humans Anonymous, for aliens who swapped and need therapy. Their slogan? "It's okay to cry. That just means you're one of us now." One day, long after the dust settled, Randall sat by a window on a transport to Mars. He watched a group of alien tourists struggle to understand a vending machine that accepted sarcasm as currency. Talor sat beside him, reading a self-help book titled Recovering from Humanity, a Guide for the Overwhelmed. "Do you think," Talor asked, "we'll ever go back to normal?" Randall smiled. We never were normal. Suddenly, a child approached. Alien, young, green. He looked up at Randall with wide eyes and said, "Are you the human who broke the galaxy?" Randall leaned down, grinning. "Kid, we didn't break it. We just showed it what having a midlife crisis looks like." And somewhere, in the corner of the ship, a vending machine blinked. A light flickered, a neural signal activated, because deep inside its wiring, a backup mind stirred, a voice, a fusion, half human, half alien, Marirella, and she whispered, "Let's try this again."